call the meeting to order, ZBA at 7:04 PM. Wednesday, May 13th. Could all please stand for the pledge? Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ross, you want to do a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Okay, alphabetically, Adair,
Present.
Elke is here. Clark,
Here.
Levetz,
Here.
Shoemaker.
Here.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
We need, if everybody's looked over the agenda for this meeting and the second meeting, the setback hearing, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
I so move.
Support. And I'll keep, the next one on the agenda is the chairman's address, and I'll keep that real short. I'll find my piece of paper here. The one thing I have, there's going to be a seminar in Flint on May 28th, and the village is sending, it's free, but they need to know if anybody else on the board wants to go up. It deals with understanding the site plan review process. It's from 7 till 9, and I think Joe and I and Ben are going up. If anybody else is interested in going, let us know tonight, or call Becky tomorrow so Becky can call and maybe try to get another seat up there. if there's any
Right, this group
available.
puts on a really good presentation, so it would be something that we
What's the date?
at the 28th. So it would be advantageous for the ZBA. to attend.
7 to 9 PM, I
Yes.
assume.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I go?
Hey, are you volunteering for the ZBA board? No, okay.
That's all I have as far as the chairman's address. Under general business, we need to approve the minutes from the last meeting we had, which was January 22nd, 2014.
Been a while, eh?
Yeah, you do.
Nominations are gonna be fun tonight.
Yeah. There are no objections to the minutes.
I'll move to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Carried. Okay, next is nominations. Need a chairperson, a vice chair, and a secretary. Last year, we had Jeremy White who stepped up for the vice chair. He's no longer with us. We do have a vacancy on the planning commission, on the ZBA.
Oh,
Actually, we have one for both, actually.
may as well kill two birds with one stone, put a plug in for both.
Yep, we did that at the planning commission, we put one in for ZBA also. If anybody else wants to be the chair, it's not like this is my life's calling, but whatever the membership desires.
I see no reason not to nominate Paul for ZBA chair.
I'll second,
Another year.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? If not, nominations for chair are closed. We roll it on one at a time?
Yes,
Okay. It's been presented, moved and seconded to appoint myself as chair again for the coming year. There are no objections. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Carried. Vice chair. Are there anybody who wants to, I know that Steve can't because of his position on the council.
No, I'm gonna be leaving this happy group within the year.
Oh,
I'm retiring.
doesn't mean you have to retire from here.
Oh, I'm leaving. I'm going where 60 degrees is cold.
Okay.
so we will have two openings then.
We have extra
Sorry.
positions.
Well, we'll just have to leave the vice chair open then.
Mhm.
Secretary.
I nominate Ross Belkey if he would.
Let me, before you do that, let me just ask. So, as the secretary, Joe did all of the package and all of the updates to everything. I'm willing to do it, but Joe was on top of it. And what I'd be willing to do is to give a vice chair position, put somebody in that position to occupy it. Is to do that if Joe is willing to consider taking back
Secretary
over
again?
the secretary. You're
Yeah.
already kind of doing it.
Yeah. That's a hard one to fill, because the, lot of work to do.
The amount of knowledge and expertise required for that is grown over time, and Joe just has it hands
I
down.
know it's above my pay scale because when I've helped with it, come in when we've had things, Joe has been invaluable in getting things together for us.
Yeah,
She was always invaluable to me on the cable commission.
Yeah.
I was like the straw boss.
it makes me nervous to be the secretary. Because I don't think I could do it, just given the job and everything, and so I may be able to fit the vice chair role and support you.
That's,
Some of the
I have no problem with that. Joe doesn't have a
Might be
problem
on
with
Main Street.
Steve, you wanna change?
I'll
your motion,
rescind
make him a
my,
vice chair?
I'll rescind my
Yeah.
previous
Oh, okay.
motion
Okay.
for Ross to be the secretary. And I'll nominate Ross for the vice chair position.
Support?
I'll support it.
Any other nominations? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Okay, now we need a motion for secretary.
And I would make a motion that Joe Adair be named as secretary for the ZBA.
I'll support that.
And that, I accept it, subject to council taking away my alternate status and making me a full board member. So,
Okay. That
I come
being
up with
said,
that.
there are no other nominations. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Any citizens' comments on what has happened so far as this part of the meeting goes?
Do you have to study Robert's rules?
it's
No.
helpful.
If you have a basic understanding of Robert's rules, I mean, I've tried to read through them and I don't understand all of them.
How long do you have your meetings?
As
Only as needed.
As
There is not money in the council budget for us to have a regular meeting. I try to hold off at the first of the year to see if maybe somebody is gonna come in with an appeal of some kind, and we try to schedule both of them at the same time. Otherwise, I would have to go to if we didn't have a meeting in the year, towards the first of the year, if I'm not aware that a meeting's coming up, I would have to go to the council and request funds to hold a meeting to elect officers and approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Right, so actually you get the general business meeting for free.
Yeah.
Need good people.
Think about it.
Yeah, our last
I
meeting
can
was a
see me
year
doing
and
a
4 months
conversation like this,
ago.
but I went to the ZBA meeting and came out as a member.
Well, we don't actually do the appointing, we have to go to the council to do the
We
appointing.
have to submit a letter of intent and everything, but we're always looking for, like I say, now we're down two, or we'll be down two when Mr. Levesque
Tom
leaves.
failed,
Called retiring and living.
yeah. Sure.
Any other
The Everglades,
comments from the
well,
board?
right on the edge of them.
Wow,
Should we consider, and I don't know if the funds are available to do it, but should we consider at least a semi-annual meeting just to kind of, I mean, I was really kind of surprised when I looked at the old meeting minutes and they're January 14th.
Yeah.
And this is May 15th, and it's been,
I can approach the council on that, I can get on the agenda at the, probably too late for the next meeting, but the meeting after, I can come to the council and just see if there's monies available to have two meetings a year, one in January and one mid-year.
for continuity purposes, just,
Uh,
you know,
They must have some discretionary funds.
you know.
I'd have to budget in there.
Well, but it's a possibility.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not looking for the money, I'm just thinking that, you know, it makes, because it doesn't do justice to a nice night like this, but just to maintain some continuity and remember everybody's names and remember what the, you know, the council chambers looks like and talk about anything that's coming up, right, that we know of.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, I just think it's.
Then I'll get with Becky or,
well, just keeping the
Michelle.
minutes more current, I think it's a good idea.
Right.
This year and a half apart.
And subject to no other business, I would then say have Ben come in and talk about what he's seen over the last 6 months and what he sees coming up over the next 6 months, and does he anticipate any issues to the extent that he can. It's just, it's knowledge.
we could do that too. I could ask him to come if we had a meeting, just to bring us, even though I'm the liaison, he's much more privy to things that are going on than I am.
The day-to-day, yeah.
The day-to-day running of the planning commission, and he would be more aware if anybody is coming in that's going to need a possible variance of any kind.
Yeah, major issues that he's seeing, that just, it would appear that, I mean, for me, it would be helpful, rather than doing a cold start,
Yeah,
you know, after
we
a
can,
long
we
period.
can do that.
Just a thought. Okay.
Okay, any other comments from the board? There's no other additional business that I'm aware of, so I need a motion to exit the regular meeting and enter a public hearing.
So move.
Support.
Okay, at 7:18, we have a motion and support to exit the regular meeting and enter into the public hearing.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried.
You have to make that little declaration.
And
of,
the general meeting is suspended and will reopen at the close of the public hearing.
2 seconds to catch up on the notes here.
I got you covered.
Oh. You got, you're taking those duties right away, aren't you?
Well, I've got the book, it'll go into the file anyway.
Okay, we're calling the special appeals hearing for the variance at 7:19. Need a roll call.
Joe, you wanna do the honors?
Okay. Adair, present. Elke,
Here?
Clark,
Here.
Levesque,
Here?
Shoemaker,
Here,
all present.
there was a business that is looking to move into the old, where Burns Automotive used to be on South Fulton. They've been to planning and have started the process with planning. One of the problems that they're having is they don't have, that the ordinance calls for a 500-foot buffer between that particular zone, with the zone, I believe, C2 down there,
Yes.
and residential. And there is no buffer at all. It's butts right up to the residential.
The reason for the variance though is for his business, not the building. The building and the zoning is zoned to the business, I mean to the building. His business is industrial, and the industrial requirement is 500 feet. So
Okay.
that's the variance that we're approving.
And I've talked at some depth with Mr. Downing, and I think that this will be a good fit for that building. It's not like he's gonna have 40-ton presses going up and down 24/7 down there. It's low impact business. From my understanding, it's mostly assembly, and he's not gonna be having trucks in there, to my knowledge, every day. He'll be having deliveries occasionally, but that's all to be dealt with the planning commission. We're just here to give him the variance so that he can go back to planning and say that he has the variance. Once he satisfies the rest of the requirements from planning, then he can ask Dennis for a certificate of occupancy and move on with this. Is there any discussion or any questions from anybody on the board for Mr. Downing?
Yeah, I guess I've got some comments, questions. So I was at that planning commission meeting that you were at, but I was in the audience.
I recall you sitting right here.
Yeah, pleading my own case, and so I was focused on my own case more than your situation. So I gather that what's happened, and Dean and Paul, you guys help me recollect here, but so planning commission did not come back and answer or stipulate specific restrictions on you for noise, traffic, waste management, that kind of stuff.
To the best of my knowledge, the only restriction was an agreement with the village for the use of property. I actually had, that was the only restriction I was aware of.
The parking property,
Yeah,
the radius.
there's a $1 fee.
For the transfer, if I remember. So I'm trying not to get into all of those questions because the planning commission hasn't really dealt with them, and I'm sure you and they will work out something to mutual advantage. As I look at the business within 500 feet of residential, those would be the kinds of questions I would ask. They're gonna be loud noise, or they're gonna be lights that are gonna keep people awake. You're gonna have business hours between point A and point B, but is there pre-business activities and post-business activities that might be disruptive to residents and that kind of stuff? So I would wanna ask that stuff, but if they haven't really addressed it, kind of leave it up to them, and it's really more for them to talk to, but that helps me decide on whether or not it's a good fit. I know that the master plan suggests industrial go to the south of the village. I know that there's no place really to go down there. We've got empty buildings here. It's in our interest from, if no other reason, tax base to put stuff in there, right? So, so then it goes back in my mind to these issues at planning, and you have to really kind of work out. It's kind of outside of our, we're gonna,
Jurisdiction, bailiwick.
it's, well, we would then get into, you know, are there any, is there
He's
anybody?
been to a number of planning commission
Yeah, I'm
meetings,
sure.
and they have addressed all of those.
Oh, have they?
I was
Okay.
gonna- I was waiting for you to come up, I can ring in on some of it. I think your question is addressing the requirements for variance is different than the requirements of the planning board,
Yes,
which we've been asked with other questions. And a lot of those were asked,
Yeah.
and even some that you didn't mention.
Yeah,
But from a variance point of view, I think the key points are pretty straightforward. What we're addressing is an ordinance that says you can't do this activity within a certain distance of residential.
right.
And,
But what, right, no, I understand, Dean.
well, I can add on that, but go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, well, from the issue of the variance, the 500-foot rule is probably a pretty good rule, except that there is no industrial property. I only learned that on the last meeting.
Right,
The request or the hardship is not self-imposed. The building's there and the ordinance was there, we're just trying to fit in
Right.
between all the rules. There is a good precedent in the fact that there is some other industrial, I think, right there and abutting to other residential
Yeah.
properties. Our use isn't any more straining on the community than previous businesses within the building, might even be less. So, from that point of view, I think a variance would be appropriate.
yeah, no, I follow. I mean, the reason why I would want to object, if I was going to object, would be that some of those issues were unresolved with planning, or that we would find that it's gonna be loud noise, particulates in the air through exhaust, heavy traffic, those types of things, or if I had a crowd full of people in here saying, we just don't want it,
Right.
right? I don't see a crowd full of people here, and I'm fairly confident that planning commission is gonna work with you to ensure that whatever noise and lights and traffic and all that stuff
It's
is
my understanding that.
reasonable, right?
Yes, sir. It was my understanding that the only unresolved issue with planning was a request from Ben for two things, I combined into one. One was to show parking in relationship to a delivery. There's no issue, there's enough parking.
Yep.
But he was asking, well, you're gonna park cars in the back of the building here, will that interfere with the truck, where's the truck gonna park? So, that's fair questions.
Yeah,
So one was the diagram showing delivery relative to parking, and the other was, which didn't make much sense to me, but we provided, was the interior location of equipment and things. Now, that could cross over to your concern. You're gonna bring in a 40-ton press and shake the windows next door? No.
right,
No, that's not gonna happen. The most noise-intensive unit that we use is the CNC, and the most of that noise is from the vacuum system.
Yeah, they're not real loud.
That holds the part down. The largest part is the vacuum. And we're used
Yes.
to working around that inside the shop, and guys just get used to that noise.
so the vacuum is gonna muffle the router.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever, right.
For the most part, it does. Once in a while, it screeches.
Yeah, I don't think people are gonna, like I say, I'm not seeing a ton of people here, and we did send notices out
Right.
to say, hey, this is coming in, if you got a concern, show up. So I'm not seeing people, you know, showing up here saying that there's a significant issue.
My understanding that this is the single thing that the planning commission wanted, and it was still open. And for discussion, we can kind of go over that if you have any questions. I tried to provide both parking and the interior of the building. On the parking side, the biggest question had to do with if this shorter trucks come through at the back side of the building where I'm
Yeah.
showing no delivery parking, that it could interfere.
Right,
The magic is, I call for the delivery truck, so when they're coming, hey, move your car, you know, it's pretty
Yeah.
simple.
You have some control over
Sure.
that, so that's,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I wanted to explain, that would be my initial concern, but, so what I would probably say, I'm kind of talking to the board now, what I would probably say is subject to planning commission saying that he meets all the requirements, and probably subject to whatever they decide on screening, I don't really see an issue, right? Not knowing if they have fully resolved all those issues with you. I know you've probably been to 100 meetings already, you probably got 101 to go to. So I had to look at the nature of the business and what you'd be doing to see if it made sense to say, even though there's no place on the south side of the village and we've got open buildings, that whatever you're doing is so onerous that it would be disruptive to people within the 500, but it doesn't sound like it. And I'm confident that planning commission can take care of all of that stuff. You saw them work me over. I don't mean that in a bad way.
I don't recall. I think it
Oh,
was-
with lighting and, had to be shielded and so on. So they were asking some pretty good questions about that to protect residents in general. So that's where I gotta, put my head here is residents in general. So I don't see an issue with any of that stuff now, but I would probably put in any motion subject to planning commission's direction to him. Does that make sense to you guys?
I don't know that we can do that, to tell you the truth. As far as my
Are
knowledge
you-
of this
You're,
is.
you're combining two boards.
No, I do know what you're saying, but then,
I mean, the main thing that he is here for is the 500 foot.
Variance,
Sure,
and that
yeah.
has nothing to
Does
do with
nothing to
lighting,
do with
has nothing to do with noise.
anything else.
Now, you're
Anything.
CNC in wood,
Sometimes, but not
Plastics.
normally plastics. metal.
plastic, but not metal.
Yeah, aluminum,
Okay,
or as my European guys call it, aluminium.
aluminum.
I mean, you've got Patrick doing the same
Yeah.
thing, right behind
Yeah.
him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's got more CNC machines, I'm sure, than
I've
you're
seen
gonna
some of
have.
his equipment too, when the presses even. Or it looks like
Yeah, he's got a couple
small-
injection
small-
presses in, I used to work for him.
So, I mean, I wouldn't wanna tie any stipulations. I think we would be
No.
wrong in doing that when our job here, from what I see, is to approve or disapprove the 500.
The 500, yeah, I agree with you.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Can I say something?
Yeah,
I'm the resident that lives next door to that property, the subject property. I'm in favor of having Dean's business in there. I think he's got a clean operation, and the company's been in business for over 30 years, and there's a lot of stability there. And I think that's what our village needs, is stability, instead of people
Yeah.
moving in and out. And
Yeah.
I would really prefer his business to what was there previously,
Mhm.
to the auto
That was
repair.
kind of the way I looked at it when I read all this, is that
So-
if that was an auto repair
Yeah,
business, this has gotta be a sure fit for
We've
it.
got a lot less.
I think,
footprint
yeah,
than that,
I think it would be a lot cleaner and a lot less noise too.
Yeah, and a lot less cars.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm in favor of it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things that our board can look at too, is that it is a good fit for this community. It's not intrusive, it's not changing the environment, it's not changing the aesthetics of the neighborhood. You didn't put that building 500 feet or less than 500 feet from the residential,
And nobody in this
property.
room did.
and there's no way to change that. It's not going to affect anything that you've done, so there's really no other, there's really nothing else you can do, I don't think, than to approve the variance. Even screening, I remember we talked a little bit about screening in the planning commission meeting, but I don't think there's room to do anything.
Related to this occupancy?
Yes.
What type of screening?
Well,
Could
normally
be-
industrial to residential has to be like a
Screening
Fence.
walls?
berm or a living fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
Arborvitae's are
noise
small.
attenuation. type of
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know that you have that kind of room, do you?
They
I don't
didn't,
think so.
they didn't
We've
make
got a
the
fence.
auto place do any of that stuff.
Yeah, we've got a fence
Well,
there that's deep, you know.
Looking at it, if
I
we-
do believe they did, but I don't believe it's done.
Oh, well,
No, nothing was said then.
we're getting off the issue here, but I can tell you that whole
Because
side
that's part of the
adjoining,
variance,
well,
is,
the side adjoining the residential doesn't
Is right
have a
on the-
window, it's a block wall.
right,
So it's not, the noise coming through the block wall is pretty good. The rear of the property faces public space and
Well, the
street
rear
front, and
property's
even,
not-
even in
not
commercial or
even part of
industrial
this.
across the street. And
yeah,
the
the rear
front,
property is not part of the variance, it's just the side that, because that doesn't butt residential property.
the side
So it's
that
just
abuts a
those-
residential property, it's a block wall.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There's no
And-
window.
And it's right on the
well,
line.
and it's right on
isn't
the
it?
property line, so that's what I'm saying, there isn't room to do it anyway, we can't make Stella put the buffer up, because
Right.
that's who owns the property that would have any room to do it. So
Well,
I,
and-
the screening,
And
I think
Stella's
is
not
a,
objecting to it,
right,
so.
so the screening, I
I would
think is
rather
just not
have
a lead issue,
Is then the auto repair.
so.
Yeah, I understand, I'm just, to say whether or not you can be within 500 or not, I gotta base it on something, and so I know what you're saying about this other stuff, but to say, sure, you can move within 500 and not have a sense for any disruption that it might create is a little tough for me to fathom, so I need to kind of know that, but without knowing all of the discussions you had with the planning commission, but knowing what I went through with the planning commission, I'm fairly confident that they will put restrictions where necessary and work with you on
I was
those.
under the impression they voted and approved it, subject to you. I
It
feel
was-
like.
That's what I heard Ben say,
Yeah, I feel
subject to
like,
the
I feel like
approval
the
of
child
the
that says,
variance.
talk to your mother or talk to your father.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's just, the planning commission tells you that you need to go to the ZBA for a variance, because the planning commission cannot grant you
Yeah,
that
but I
variance.
sat here and I thought I heard him say it was approved subject to the
That's what I
variance.
thought, I heard the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
and Ben wanted, after they voted, they said, everybody said, okay. Afterwards, then he asked for this document again. So,
And that was where
right.
Yeah.
my understanding left off, was that if you're approved for the variance, you
Yeah.
have to come back to planning and give him the rest of the material needed
Yeah.
to plan. So
That's-
we don't wanna make you think that this is the final step in the process.
yeah, I kind of understood that this could be a concurrent activity, so it didn't drag out ad
Right.
infinitum, which I would hate to have to happen to
Well,
you.
at this point, it doesn't matter if we go back to the board. It's just straightforward. What I need is, this board has the authority to recognize that there's a code, there's a building, there's a conflict, and you have the authority to say,
Yeah,
wait.
I mean, at this point, given the discussion, I'm not really seeing any issue with not approving it,
Well,
so.
especially with what has been in that building, it's
Right.
far less obtrusive.
Oh, yeah.
Than,
It's a lot cleaner operation.
yes, and you don't have this daily influx of 5 to 10 cars a day being worked on, or in, or out, and around, so.
Engines revving, I mean, there's times I've driven by that,
Yeah.
how do they stand that?
I know what you're talking about.
When he had that
right.
hot rod in there.
He had
was
that hot
all-
rod, oh yeah, that really, the whole block vibrated.
well, and I guess we just need a motion from one of the members to allow the variance for the
I
address.
think we have to close the public hearing.
Well, you make a motion to.
If
public
no other
hearing.
comment, no other
Oh,
comments
okay.
from
Yeah, and return to the general business,
them,
to the
then
general meeting. So at
Make-
7:38,
Yeah, I'll make that motion then to let's close the public hearing and
I'll
return to the
support
general
it.
meeting.
if that's voting.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Too many pieces of paper up here.
And keep all rolling, I'll make a motion to re-enter the general meeting for public hearing.
support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. we need a motion now to
Approve or deny?
approve,
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Is that with any restrictions at all, or no? Just,
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think we need to complicate the issue.
I don't think we can.
No.
I think you could, but I don't see a need to, given the screening issue. The next door occupant says,
She doesn't.
don't need it, want it, and would welcome the business to be in there, so.
Are we giving this variance to the address?
No, to Dean Downing.
Okay, okay. Because I didn't know if we need to have that specific address in this motion, so 5 years from now, when none of us are here, say, what building are they talking about?
Yeah,
Because it used to be, the used to be, the used to be.
so I would think it would be, granted approval to Dean, whose business is in,
Located
so,
at
so it's
such and
owner specific, not building specific.
yeah.
That would be the company name.
Okay, the motion is to approve the setback variance to Dean Downing, to Dean Downing's business known as Display Mix, to be located at 74128 Fulton Street, Armada, Michigan.
And also, I don't want to keep rehashing this, but,
With no,
well, not that, but we're removing the 500 foot. Do we have to mention that's what we're doing? Is it written anywhere in this?
yeah, in the variance request.
Okay, I just
Um,
want to make sure everything's
Good
tied
point.
together, so somebody
Yeah.
looking back
Right,
at this
so we'll
knows
just-
what
We'll
we,
just squeeze that out.
Yeah, so if I can't
go in there and start stamping.
well, we approved a variance, and
and
what was
stuff.
the variance? That's all.
Dean's got that 50-10 precedent back pocket.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that.
Yeah, I
Just once.
understand.
Okay, what do you want to say about screening, because that's part of that ordinance.
Say about what now?
Screening,
Screening, and say
that,
with no screening
I'd
restrictions
say no,
With no
with no restrictions,
yeah.
on screening.
because sure did do
And
it
it's
for
side
everybody
lot, no
else.
side lot, right, if we want to be specific, or maybe we just say no screening.
Setback variance of less than 500 feet between industrial and residential to Dean Downing's business known as Display Mix, to be located at
This is the hardest part of the whole thing.
74128 Fulton Street, Armada, Michigan. For the south borderline.
Yeah, so,
Um,
so you could get a nice shade of pink on the cinder block perhaps, or I'll let you take that up with Dean.
Put a mural.
Is there no feasible way to have screening to his variance? He has no property.
I don't even know that we need to, again,
I
to say
think,
that.
well, I'll go back and put it in the comments, because you're not making a motion for the obvious, I guess.
I think, yeah, it's probably not a bad idea just to put it in there that the property is right on the lot line and
Right,
there's
so under
no,
further conditions, let's just put it as understood.
There is a walkway, you know.
Yeah, I know that. It's about 4 foot wide. It goes through there.
Between the building and your property?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Mhm.
Walked over, I
Is
didn't
it-
see anything,
Is
but
it even 4
blocked
foot?
out windows.
I
I don't think it's even 4
I thought we
foot.
said,
It's
at the
close
planning,
to
said when, what's her name was gonna put the, grocery store in there, what's her name? Brenda. I thought she said she measured it, it was like 3 foot, it was, you know, they carry bags of groceries, not a 3 foot walkway.
Yeah, it wasn't wide
It
enough
was more
for,
like that.
for even handicap.
Yeah,
I think
Which
handicap-
again is,
that cuts it out right there, but
you know, it's out of either one of our hands. I mean, it is what it is.
after Joe gets done scribbling, she gets to read it all back. So that's, Is this enticing anybody to sign up? We got 2 open.
you know, I was thinking about that because I inadvertently, I I've been around these boards now for 30 years. I didn't plan on it, I didn't know it was part of the job, and over time, it was funny that I got to see people and I'm screaming in my head, shut up, because they say too much.
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, the boards have that due diligence responsibility, and so they're trying to look out for the interests of the village, government, the village people, I didn't think I would have to say that, the village, the residents, that's a better way to say it, and the business owner. We're trying to make that happy marriage, and it's a tough nut sometimes, but most, because I was on planning commission for quite a while, and in most cases, you get to a happy medium, everybody can work with it, and they move forward. I've not seen many that get turned down, there's some restrictions at times, but
I did one last night in Birmingham. This is beautiful. I love this.
it makes it easier with one or two people.
So I did want that in there just so that
Yeah.
in 5 years, when the next guy comes and looks, he says, well, nobody even addressed the screening with him.
Yes,
So under
absolutely.
further condition, we put that it is understood that there is no feasible means of putting screening in the limited space available between the building and the abutting residential property line.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay. You still need support though.
Do we have support for that?
I'll support.
Roll call vote. Adair, yes. Belkey,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Lebetz,
Yes.
Shoemaker.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Congratulations.
Right. That's the first variance I've gone through for myself. I've taken lots of people through it, but it's the first one for me.
Yeah, it's,
And you will be given, we'll get you a letter out detailing what went on tonight so that you have a hard copy of that also.
Appreciate it.
Take
For
it
your
to
And
records.
a
Back to
final
plan.
trip back to planning, is that what you're
Yes.
expecting?
Yeah.
Do
Or
you
give
have
Ben a
any
call.
Yeah, call
Give
Ben,
a
just to
call.
see, you know,
What it is
that's what it
exactly he
is.
needs and
But, tell him, you know,
it could expedite things a little.
Yeah, I'll get
Yeah.
hold of them tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
thank you, appreciate your time.
That's a big difference from Birmingham to here, but I'm comfortable here. Had too many people in suits there last night,
Yeah.
and attorneys and
This,
everything else.
Yeah.
I'm retired, this is as dressed up as I get, you know.
I tried, I did try to retire. I sold business just before the economy tanked.
Okay.
And it was good, I was on my way out.
Sad meeting.
But it was
It's been a year and a
selling
half.
before that was a good time, it turned out to be the worst time.
Okay.
Oh,
We need a motion to adjourn before we get to,
Right.
all right. I move that we adjourn the meeting at, is it 7:47?
Yep.
good playing. Do you have a second for that?
I think Tom
I
just
just-
said forward.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign? Meeting adjourned.